and welcome to Veterans Voices, honoring, inspiring, empowering. I'm your host, Liberty Simmons. In the next 30 minutes, we will share the stories of our veterans right here in the DMV and beyond. Today, we are at the World War II Memorial on the National Mall in the heart of Washington, D.C. This year marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day, a turning point in World War II. The memorial honors their service, sacrifice, unity, and victory. And that takes us to our first story of a World War II hero. He is a local Purple Heart veteran in Maryland who fought on the front lines of Battle of the Bulge. He shares with me how he was able to make it out alive. Happy birthday. Retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Darrell Bush is welcomed like the war hero he is at his favorite Texas Ribs and Barbecue in Clinton, Maryland. Smile.
You know, I never thought I'd make it, but I'm here.
Bush is turning 99 years old.
I love you both so much.
As he reaches another milestone in life, he hasn't forgotten the road he has traveled, including his time fighting in World War II.
7 of us out of 132 lived. But you never hear about the story like that.
After a successful invasion by Allied forces on D-Day back in World War II, Hitler launched a counteroffensive in December 1944. He sent 30 German divisions to bulge through thinly held American lines in Belgium, where Darrell Bush served as an infantryman.
So we stopped them. The Battle of the Bulge was worse than D-Day. We fought pretty hard in the Battle of the Bulge.
For 40 days, Darrell fought the Battle of the Bulge in Bastogne under frigid conditions and intense firefights.
And they would not give up. They fought till they died. Battle of the Bulge was one of the worst. We lost a lot of people.
The Americans suffered 75,000 casualties. Darrell recalled one day he tried to save 2 fellow soldiers.
The 2 guys I saved were 2 scouts like me. They got hit very badly, and I went out and brought them back. I carried each one of them back. Well, one had his hand blown off, wrapped him up pretty good. Then I went back in and got another guy.
But Darrell was struck 5 times by enemy fire.
All around my body, and one through my helmet. One in, I had a Bible in my pocket. The Bible saved my life.
After Darrell was shot, his wife Dorothy was given his Purple Heart and a bullet that struck him. The military said he was missing in action.
I didn't know if he was living or dead, but somehow I knew inside of me he was still alive. I never gave up.
Dorothy prayed for her husband every single day of the war, even though she didn't know Darrell's fate. He was back on the battlefield fighting until the end of the war.
If it happened again, I'd go back, start right back in again to help save the country.
Darrell returned home nearly a year after the war ended, earning a Bronze Star with valor.
I wanted to be free. Wanted everybody else to be free. I know I was fighting for my country.
And when he returned, Dorothy, his wife of now 81 years, was waiting.
I still love him like I always did. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful he's here.
What he calls his greatest blessing of all.
I thank her very much for what she did.
We shot this interview back in September, and after our interview, Darrell Bush passed away at his home on October 22nd. This was his final interview. Thank you, Darrell Bush, for your service, and thank you for sharing your story on Veterans Voices. Transitioning from military life back to civilian life can be a hard thing to do for some veterans. That's why organizations like Platoon 22 in Frederick, Maryland are essential to help veterans through their transition. Frederick County reporter Skylar Salas takes us through the journey of one veteran.
Lisa Harden is a former Army soldier who served 4 years overseas. She says joining the Army was something she didn't plan on doing, but is grateful she did.
Well, I'm very appreciative for the Army, but it was strange. I say the Army gave me a husband and 2 kids.
After her time in the military, Harden had to quickly transition from her Army lifestyle to being a full-time mom and military spouse.
In the military, you have certain things that you know are going to happen. And when I got out, a civilian job is different. Sometimes it might be structured, maybe not. I was trying to be a mom and work and be a military spouse, and also dealing with the stuff that I had saw in Saudi Arabia.
During that transition, she eventually found Platoon 22.
So Platoon 22 is a veteran-focused, Maryland-based nonprofit, and our ultimate goal is to end veteran suicide. We do that by connecting veterans and their families to critical resources and get them ingrained in the community.
For Hardin, Platoon 22's puppy yoga event drew her in, and from that point, her transition was a little easier.
It's 30 minutes sitting in there with the puppies and stretching and them coming, and it just made a difference for me.
Taking, whatever their MOS is and breaking that down into something that would make sense in a civilian industry is sometimes difficult. So getting that gainful employability is a really hard thing. And then also the stigma behind mental health, that every veteran that comes out of combat is broken and needs to be, fixed by the community, and that's not the case.
Hardin says Platoon 22 has made her feel comfortable in her transition and has allowed her to be her true, authentic self.
When I come here, I just feel like I can just walk in. And so all of the different things that they have, I wish I had years ago. I would encourage people to not think about why not to come, think of reasons why you should come.
Reporting in Frederick, Maryland, Skylar Salas, DC News Now.
Still ahead on Veterans Voices. We share the story of Therese Garnier. She is a fourth-generation military member who wrote a book after she was sexually assaulted while serving. Her story is next. Plus, she's a pageant queen, U.S. Marine, and Team USA bobsledder. How Riley T-Jack is making a difference in the United States military. We will have more stories right after the break. You're watching Veterans Voices, honoring, inspiring, empowering. Welcome back to Veterans Voices, honoring, inspiring, empowering. We're going out of the DMV for this next story. They're often referred to as the unsung heroes of World War II, the Ghost Army, a mission that was kept secret for years but undoubtedly saved lives. The Ghost Army had a huge impact on the war, and they trained in Middle Tennessee. Nikki Burdine has more.
It sounds like something that belongs on the set of a movie.
Their mission was deception, and to carry it out, they used inflatable tanks and sound effects and illusion, impersonation, right on the battlefields of Europe.
Everything they did was to deceive the enemy while giving actual units time to move around.
Tanks crossing a small bridge.
They're known as the Ghost Army, a unit with about 1,100 soldiers that conducted 22 different deception missions, starting right after D-Day until the end of the war.
Deception is a great military tool. If you can fool the enemy about your intentions, about your location, if you can manipulate them to do what you want them to do, it's to your advantage. It can create surprise and help you out. So the Ghost Army, their mission was to impersonate other much larger American units.
These combat carn artists had one goal: to save lives. But they did this with a bit of creativity.
So they had inflatable tanks and trucks and artillery and jeeps and inflatable spotter planes and anything. So they could set up a huge, presentation, if you will, on the battlefield.
They used sound deception.
They had sound trucks. These were half tracks with 500-pound speakers mounted on top that could play sounds that could go as far as 15 miles.
Radio deception.
So the enemy's listening in on the radio, and so you're sending phony radio messages and tying in with real radio networks.
And even special effects.
That involved physically impersonating the units that they're pretending to be. So they're going to put on phony shoulder patches to make it seem like they're in the 75th Infantry Division, let's say. They're going to set up fake headquarters, and they're going to have one of the guys be a fake general. I mean, I know it sounds made up, but this really happened and happened multiple times.
It sounds somewhat whimsical, but there were very real consequences.
And if you're going to understand the Ghost Army story, you want to enjoy the Hollywood aspects of it, the make-believe, the pretend, but you want to sober up pretty quickly to realize that there are people who are buried in cemeteries in Europe and in the United States who gave their lives to carry out this mission.
Rick Beyer runs the Ghost Army Legacy Project. His mission is to tell their stories.
It was all kept secret for 50 years or so after the war. This was a secret, and I got to tell you, there's still a lot of people who don't know very much about it at all.
These soldiers trained right here in Tennessee at Camp Forest. Today, there are just 3 living members of the Ghost Army left, and this year they were finally honored at the Capitol, 75 years after they served. Although it's impossible to know exactly how many lives these men saved, their impact is clear.
There have been estimates that maybe 15 to 30,000 lives, and there's no way to know, right? Is that accurate? I met a guy once who was a tanker under Patton, and he had never heard of this unit. I said, I think this unit might have saved my life. And because he'd been in one of the places where they operated. And that to me was really meaningful, because you can talk numbers and say thousands here, thousands there. But here was one guy, and he was showing me pictures of his children and grandchildren and saying, well, maybe they wouldn't even have been born if it hadn't been for this unit.
Thanks, Nikki. And back here at home, one Air Force veteran is no longer silent about a disturbing experience she faced while she served. Therese Garnier talks about how detailing the trauma has changed her life with DC News Now's Tosin Fakile.
I never went back into the courtroom. My attorney explained that my rapist's attorney was requesting a new trial based on the evidence. Those words stopped my heart. I felt like I was going to die.
It's been a year since those words have been in print in Air Force veteran Therese Garnier's book, No Longer Silent.
After the book dropped and you got that first copy in your hand, how did it feel?
I just stared at it and I said, wow, I did that. And then my next thought was, I wonder how many people this is going to help. And I just got excited.
Garnier says she's 4th-generation military. She served on the broadcast side in the Air Force. We first spoke with her in 2023 before her book was released. In the book, she talks about trauma in childhood and later sexual assault she experienced while serving in the Air Force.
I was assaulted by a senior NCO. I decided to publish my book on Veterans Day of 2023 because that was the 10-year anniversary of me surviving being raped in the military. And I wanted to make good memories for myself.
And the good memories she wanted for herself have been pouring in since her book was published. Good memories on the big stages.
The opportunity to meet President Biden and share my story with him and share my book with him. He was instrumental in helping pass the Violence Against Women's Act, or VAWA. We were able to celebrate the 30th anniversary at the White House.
But also good memories while empowering people on smaller stages.
Being able to have those conversations and provide a safe space for people
to be able to come here and share my story.
I had so many people reach out to me after the fact and say, I'm a survivor too. The fact that they said I'm a survivor and not I'm a victim.
For this Air Force veteran, the work is not done. She believes there's more people to reach and is asking for help to do it.
I'm trying to get sponsors to purchase books. I want to be on the ground where this stuff is happening. I can give them away for free. Why that's so important, we have to get these into the hands of our teens, our young adults, and any service members and veterans.
This 2024 Veterans Day, this book giving her a different feeling about a day honoring her service.
I can honestly say the world is now my stage, and I'm standing at the center of it, creating and savoring one captivating moment at a time.
For DC News Now, I'm Tosin Fakile.
He's a Virginia Army National Guard member and rising social media superstar. When not in uniform, he's also a law enforcement officer, farmer, dad, and husband. I spoke with Sergeant First Class Tyler Butterworth about how he is using humor and viral videos to connect you to those who serve.
I'm standing next to a tank, and you could be too.
He's not your average recruiter.
There's a qualified individual right there. Hey! Come in here!
But Sergeant First Class Tyler Butterworth says this is how he reaches the next generation.
If you call a recruiter in the next 30 minutes, not only will you have a great conversation, but you'll also get a free Chem Light, orange flavor, limit 1 per caller.
You may have seen his viral parody videos popping up on your social media feed as Butterworth the Syrup. He has amassed nearly 2 million followers on Instagram with thousands more on TikTok and YouTube.
I am just incredibly humbled. I can't believe that the videos have the reach that they do.
Tyler works in marketing and recruiting for Virginia Army National Guard. He uses his humor online to show the different sides of a soldier.
Here in the Army National Guard, we're citizen soldiers, so being a full-time soldier is not our mission. We are citizens full-time, and we're part-time 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, plus activation. So I believe our messaging should be more personal.
When he's not serving our country in uniform, Tyler works as a law enforcement officer, farmer, husband, father, and dedicated content creator.
Why I serve would be for the people, and it's for my country.
He joined the Army National Guard at 18 as an infantryman, inspired to serve after 9/11. He served multiple deployments to Iraq.
It was definitely a dangerous time to be there, but I trusted my leadership and my training.
His role now uses social media videos to inspire others to join.
That's not what I meant. I meant the camera is shooting in slow motion. Turn that off. When I get a message and say, hey, Sergeant, I just enlisted into the Army National Guard or a different branch, less than 1% of the population serves in the military. So regardless of the branch that they join, that's a win.
Tyler says he wants his videos to lift up others.
At least every day I get a message about somebody in the hospital or suffering from an illness or disease and saying that watching these videos makes them feel better.
Humanizing the uniform.
The more that I can do in this world and the more that I can give back and help other people instead of just myself, the better.
One laugh at a time.
I hope my videos can inspire people to be a part of the military or at least consider or think about veterans in a different light by showing that we are actually people. We are not robots, we are not just uniforms, we are people first.
And up next,
it matters that they know, because then they can be inspired. If they're not inspired to feel great about their country, then how can we expect them to defend democracy and this great republic?
We talk with author and journalist Alex Kershaw about how he's been elevating the voices of our veterans. You're watching Veterans Voices, honoring, inspiring, empowering. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Voices, honoring, inspiring, empowering. I'm Liberty Simmons. She's a pageant queen, U.S. Marine, and Team USA bobsledder. I caught up with Captain Riley T-Jack as she works on her dream to represent USA in the Olympics, even while deployed. She's fast on the ice and strong in her combat boots. Captain Riley Tejak is staying on top of her game even while deployed.
6 a.m. every morning, I'm in the gym as best as I can, either in the gym lifting or outside trying to beat that early heat.
Before she deployed, Riley was based in Quantico, serving as a U.S. Marine Corps logistics officer, while still competing as a bobsled captain for Team USA.
I got my highest finish in Europe with the 5th place in Austria. I took overall 3rd place in the North American Cup, and I once again competed in my 2nd World Championships in Germany.
Riley has since taken a break from competing to volunteer for a deployment to Iraq.
I'm here as an operations officer for Operation Inherent Resolve.
Back in August, 7 U.S. personnel were injured during a suspected rocket attack not too far from her.
I am okay. Thankfully, no issues or anything here, but it's very real. There are people here that are being attacked, but I'm thankful that we have a great partnership. We have a great coalition forces, and everyone's here working to bring peace to the Middle East and freedom to all people.
But in a few months, she will be back from deployment and fully immersed into competition. Riley will don our nation's flag to compete for her spot to represent USA in the 2026 Olympics.
3 pilots for the United States team will make the Olympic team. There's 6 of us, so I'm going to keep giving it everything I have. But the United States bobsled team for the women's side has some of the best competition in the world with our 6 pilots. It's going to be an absolute dogfight, but Lord willing, we'll see what happens, and I can control my attitude and my effort, and I'm going to give everything I have to it.
Riley continues to train to get her heart, mind, body, and spirit ready for the games.
All I want to do is bring something positive, show people what is possible.
And on top of all her training and deployment, she somehow managed to write a children's book about being a female Marine and athlete, fittingly titled, If You Can Dream It, Be It.
I just want people to be able to see this story and be like, wow, if she can do it, then I can do it too. I want to be able to open up this narrow path that way more people can run through it. It's not about me, it's about showing the younger generation what's possible and what they can live up to.
And in our final story, the stories of our veterans forever making history. For those stories to live on, however, they must be recorded. For the last 3 decades, author and journalist Alex Kershaw has been elevating the voices of our veterans. DC News Now's Marielle Carbone has more.
Within the National Mall, granite columns representing all U.S. states and territories surround a pool of water. Stand on the lower level and you're immersed in the moment, honoring the 16 million Americans who served in World War II, 400,000 of them making the ultimate sacrifice.
I feel incredible pride, and I feel like you are as close as you're going to get to the truth of the best about this country when you stand right here.
Alex Kershaw is the resident historian for the Friends of the National World War II Memorial. A journalist and author, he's written a dozen novels on World War II, highlighting the stories of those who served.
They wore the uniform with incredible pride.
The latest, Patton's Prayer, telling the narrative of General George S. Patton, who led the 3rd U.S. Army during the pivotal Battle of the Bulge.
The courageous man is the man who forces himself, in spite of his fear.
In the last 3 decades, Kershaw has interviewed more than 200 veterans, a privilege he doesn't take lightly.
I feel a great responsibility because these people were amazing. I was blessed to meet them.
Including Company Commander Michael Daly, who received a Medal of Honor for his heroism during the Battle of Nuremberg.
And for the rest of his life, when he was asked what really matters in life, what this short time on Earth comes down to, he says the only route to contentment is to help others, to serve others. And that's the message that every veteran will tell you.
As time moves well past World War II, Kershaw says recording those historic people and moments in time is crucial.
Why does it matter to put these veteran stories in history for everybody to be able to read, to remember?
It matters that they know, because then they can be inspired. If they're not inspired to feel great about their country, to feel patriotic by events like World War II, then how can we expect them to defend democracy and this great republic.
Empowering the next generation by raising the voices of our veterans, past and present.
We appreciate the sacrifice they make every day and the fact that they're willing to put their lives on the line for us. That's a huge, huge honor that we enjoy and often take for granted.
In Washington, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
And that does it for this year's Veterans Voices, honoring, inspiring, empowering. For more on these stories, head to our website at dcnewsnow.com. I'm Liberty Simmons. To all of our nation's veterans, supporters, and those who serve, we salute you.